If you think football dominance is only built on trophies, legendary players, and dramatic last-minute goals, then what you're about to hear will completely change how you see modern sports power. The real secret behind Manchester United's global empire isn't just what happened on the pitch at Old Trafford, it's what happened in boardrooms, television deals, cultural revolutions, and living rooms thousands of miles away from England. While most clubs chased victories, United built a machine, a cultural engine so powerful that even in seasons without silverware, the badge still sells, the brand still dominates, and the name still echoes from Mumbai to Miami, from Lagos to London. To understand how that happened, you have to rewind to an era before social media, before billion-dollar streaming deals, before football became a global entertainment industry, back to when English football was gritty, local, and largely disconnected from the rest of the world. United didn't just rise with football's globalization, they anticipated it, engineered it, and rode it better than anyone else. At the heart of that transformation was a convergence of timing, tragedy, genius leadership, media evolution, and ruthless commercial vision that turned a football club into a global superbrand. Starting with the emotional foundation laid by the Busby Babes and the resilience forged after the Munich air disaster, a tragedy that embedded the club's identity with a narrative of rebirth and defiance that fans emotionally invested in for generations. But it was decades later, under the relentless, long-term leadership of Sir Alex Ferguson, that the club truly unlocked its global power. Because Ferguson didn't just build winning squads, he built eras, he built dynasties, he built storylines that stretched across decades. And in the 1990s, just as the Premier League was born and English football began marketing itself internationally, United were perfectly positioned as its flagship, charismatic, trophy-hungry giant, winning titles with drama, personality, and swagger, culminating in the historic 1999 treble, the Premier League, FA Cup, and the unforgettable last-minute comeback in the UEFA Champions League final 1999. A moment that wasn't just a sporting victory, but a global broadcast phenomenon that introduced millions of new fans to the red shirt in one emotional explosion. And here's the key: United weren't just winning, they were winning at the exact moment satellite television was expanding across Asia and Africa. At the exact moment, sports marketing was becoming corporate. At the exact moment, footballers were turning into celebrities. And so the club's rise cinched perfectly with globalization itself, and then came the icons. Not just great players, but cultural figures like David Beckham, whose influence transcended sport, whose hairstyle trends and fashion covers reached audiences who didn't even watch football, turning Manchester United into a lifestyle brand as much as a team. While other clubs relied on local loyalty, United aggressively toured Asia, the United States, and Australia, planting flags in emerging markets long before it became standard practice, building fan clubs in India, opening soccer schools in China, leveraging pre-season tours not just for fitness but for market capture. By the early 2000s, the club wasn't just competing in England, it was competing for global attention, signing sponsorship deals that were unheard of in scale at the time, pioneering shirt sponsorship valuations, and monetizing its brand with a sophistication more akin to multinational corporations than sports teams, which is where the Glazer takeover comes into the story. Because when the American Glazer family acquired the club in 2005, controversial as it was among supporters, they applied an American franchise model mentality, maximizing commercial revenue streams, leveraging global broadcasting, expanding partnerships in categories from noodles to airlines, turning Manchester United into one of the highest-earning football institutions on earth. While critics argued that debt burdened the club competitively, commercially the strategy entrenched United's status as a marketing titan. Because here's the uncomfortable truth: global power in football today isn't just about trophies, it's about attention, monetization, and sustained relevance. And even during post-Ferguson transitional struggles, United's revenue machine remained elite, powered by decades of brand equity built during dominance years. And that's the secret most people miss: dominance created narrative, narrative created emotional loyalty, loyalty created multi-generational fandom, and multi-generational fandom created financial gravity that pulls sponsors, broadcasters, and investors regardless of short-term results. Psychologically United mastered identity marketing, branding themselves as the club of drama, comebacks, youth development, and relentless ambition, the never-say-die team whose mythology was reinforced every time late goals were scored at Old Trafford. Mythology in sports is more powerful than statistics, because children don't fall in love with balance sheets, they fall in love with moments, and United manufactured moments at scale. During the exact period the world was watching more football than ever before. When social media exploded, United already had a massive head start, translating historic global support into millions of followers across platforms, making them one of the most followed sports teams on the planet, which then feeds a feedback loop. More followers attract bigger sponsors. Bigger sponsors create more exposure creates new fans, and the cycle compounds. This is where you understand that Manchester United's global power isn't accidental, it's structural. It's engineered over decades, rooted in timing, leadership stability, media savvy, celebrity culture, corporate aggression, and emotional storytelling. While clubs like Real Madrid and FC Barcelona built global identities through Galacticos and Tiki-Taka aesthetics, United built theirs through English intensity blended with global accessibility, becoming for many international fans the first gateway into the Premier League era, especially across Asia, where live broadcasts in the late 90s and early 2000s often showcased United's dramatic matches. When you're the first love of millions of fans entering the sport, that loyalty tends to stick, passing from parent to child, sustaining relevance even when silverware dries up. Commercially United innovated partnership tiers, regional sponsorship models, and financial reporting transparency as a publicly traded entity, which further amplified their visibility in global markets, reinforcing the perception that they weren't just a club, they were an institution, almost a corporate state within football. And yet paradoxically, their power also comes from emotional authenticity, from the working class roots of Manchester, from the red brick industrial identity that contrasts with glamorous rivals, because global audiences often romanticize the grit, that resilience narrative dating back to Munich, and the club leaned into it, telling stories of youth graduates like the class of '92, Beckham, Scholes, Giggs, local boys who became world stars, reinforcing the dream that greatness can rise from humble beginnings, a narrative far more exportable than pure financial muscle. When critics say United have declined competitively in the modern era dominated by oil-backed clubs, they're partly right on the pitch. But globally the brand remains resilient precisely because it was built before the era of sovereign wealth dominance, meaning its fan base isn't dependent on recent titles but on historical imprinting during football's globalization boom. That's why pre-season friendlies in Asia still sell out, why shirt sales remain massive, why sponsors still queue, because the emotional capital accumulated during the Ferguson Premier League explosion era still yields returns decades later. If you zoom out even further, Manchester United became a case study in sports globalization itself, a club that rode the wave of satellite TV, celebrity culture, commercial deregulation, and the internet revolution better than almost anyone, transforming regional success into planetary recognition. Whether you admire or criticize the modern direction of the club, you cannot deny that the secret behind their global power lies in that perfect storm of timing and strategy. Because power in the 21st century isn't just about who wins today. It's about who captured hearts when the world first started watching. And Manchester United captured them at scale, embedding themselves into the emotional memory of an entire generation. Once a brand occupies that space, once it becomes someone's childhood hero, someone's first jersey, someone's unforgettable comeback night, it transcends league tables. Because empires built on moments last longer than those built on money alone. And that is the real engine behind Manchester United's global dominance. A fusion of myth, media, marketing, and momentum that turned a football club from Manchester into one of the most recognized sporting institutions on earth.